closer to a sweeping bill that could cut close to $2 trillion from the federal budget.
It's a big victory for President Trump as he looks to move full steam ahead on slashing the government workforce. And today, the man in charge of that effort, Elon Musk, set to attend the president's first official cabinet meeting.
We're going to get to the White House live in just a moment, but let's start with NBC's Ryan Noble's on the Hill for us. A long night there, Ryan. Good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. And earlier in the night, House Republicans were on the verge of pulling a planned vote on their budget because they did not have the votes. In fact, many members had already left Capitol Hill when President Donald Trump intervened, convincing a group of wayward Republicans to vote yes. And while this vote narrowly passed by a slim 2-vote margin, the bill is a long way from becoming law, and it could be a bumpy road ahead. Overnight, a win for President Trump, but it wasn't easy.
Thank you all for staying on a long night. We got it done.
House Republicans voting for the budget plan Trump endorsed, aiming to fund his mass deportation plan, implement a massive $4.5 trillion tax cut, and slash between $1.5 and $2 trillion from the federal budget. Every Democrat voted no, including one who flew back with her 4-week-old son.
We were here to fight for all the kids in Florida.
Hardline GOP deficit hawks believe the steep spending cuts aren't enough and promise to push for more as the process moves ahead to the next step, forcing the president to play a key role in shoring up support.
Look, Trump has been an incredible ally in this whole process, talking to anybody that we asked that really needed to clarify things.
Some Republicans holding out earlier in the day.
Where we're going with this thing, it's just ridiculous.
Convinced after speaking with Trump.
But the president assured me that he would work towards cuts. He's never lied to me. He's like my wife. She's never lied to me, and I've always trusted her.
A similar bill passed in the Senate, but only deals with half of Trump's agenda. The two sides will now need to work out their differences.
I'm confident we can put 51 on the Senate.
The narrow margins will make this a difficult task, especially because Republicans want trillions in cuts, but won't say where those cuts are coming from. 86% of the federal budget comes from defense, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, which covers healthcare costs for disabled and low-income Americans. It will be difficult to cut that much without impacting the programs millions of Americans rely on. Can you get to $1.5 trillion without cutting Medicare and Medicaid?
I'm not cutting benefits to Medicaid recipients. The president's been very...
So what are the next steps here, Ryan, and what are the potential roadblocks?
Well, Savannah, the Senate has already passed their version of this budget plan, but it only deals with about half of the agenda items on President Trump's list. Now, the bill passed in the House last night would also have a very difficult time getting 51 votes in the Senate. So the two chambers are going to have to try and decide if they want to try and pass just one massive bill or break it into parts. At this point, President Trump has said that his preference is, of course, one big, beautiful bill. Savannah?
All right, we'll watch what happens there, Ryan. Thank you.
All right, from that, let's shift our focus now to the Trump administration's efforts to slash the federal workforce. That effort encountering some new resistance with a group of Doge staffers now resigning in protest. And today, their former boss, Elon Musk, will have a seat at the table during President Trump's first cabinet meeting. NBC's chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander has that part of the story for us. Peter, good morning to you.
Craig, good morning. Elon Musk has been President Trump's right-hand man in the first month since the president took office this go-round. And even though he is not a part of the cabinet, the White House says that Musk will be there for today's first cabinet meeting, as Musk is facing new pushback for his chainsaw approach to slash the federal workforce and its spending.
In the latest display of Elon Musk's enormous influence across the Trump administration, the tech billionaire who's boasted about taking a chainsaw to the federal government is set to attend President Trump's first cabinet meeting of his second term later today. Multiple cabinet members have already clashed with Musk, directing their staff not to respond to that email to federal workers demanding a list of 5 things they accomplished last week. The president weighing in yesterday after the administration's HR department, the Office of Personnel Management, said responding is voluntary. Musk posting that employees would face termination if they did not respond. NBC's Garrett Haake asking the president for clarity.
Do you see it as voluntary, like OPM has said, or mandatory?
Yeah, well, it's somewhat voluntary, but it's also if you don't answer, I guess you get fired.
Later asked whether Musk is speaking for him by threatening to terminate federal workers.
Everybody speaks for me. I'm the one. I'll take responsibility. You know the old statement, the buck stops here, right?
While President Trump continued to praise the plan,
I think it's a very smart thing.
some Republicans are urging caution as they face backlash at home. While Doge faced more scrutiny this week, Musk's team had touted its published list of savings, but according to the New York Times, Doge revised it to remove its 5 biggest savings after multiple outlets reported errors. And of the contracts it has canceled so far, 40% are not expected to produce any savings, according to an AP analysis of the government's own data. Earlier, 21 members of what was the U.S. Digital Service before it became Doge abruptly resigned, anonymously posting online that they won't use their technical expertise to compromise core government systems, jeopardize American sensitive data, or dismantle critical public services. Musk responding, "These were Dem political holdovers who refused to return to the office. They would have been fired had they not resigned."
President Trump also just announced a new plan to sell what he is branding gold cards, $5 million each, to wealthy foreigners seeking permanent residency in the U.S. as well as a path to citizenship. When asked about that, the president said that could include Russian oligarchs. A top White House advisor says it would essentially replace an existing visa program created by Congress that offers green cards to foreign investors. Craig?
All right, Peter, while we have you, let's shift from immigration here and talk about Ukraine for a second. The potential deal that was reached with the White House over some key resources in Ukraine. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's right. So new this morning, Ukraine confirms now that its government will authorize that deal with the United States that they say would share revenue from some of Ukraine's key mineral resources with the U.S. in exchange for security guarantees. That final push could come by the end of this week, we're told, when a U.S. official says President Zelensky is expected to visit Washington to sign a deal.